Of cookies got me one with my couch. Made my own lane, they can't come for my route. You catch me running up them bitches, whole not running my mouth. And now they see me up doing everything I plan to be. No new niggas round here, this just my family. Tryna spread love, my life ain't about no vanity. Gotta cut ties if it ain't good for my sanity. Ain't gotta speak, they know what's top with me. I can't do no drama, I be tryna cop some property. Thinking that they hot shit, but it's funny cause they not to me. Talking all that pessimism, but that shit ain't got to me. My shit like prophecy, ain't hard to see it, all my pockets show. Gotta pop my shit and clock my grip and keep my pockets full. These niggas be scary, I'm Chuck Berry, how I'm rockin' roll. And they know I'm bout my slide through Southside, how could I not be holding? Brody say he got another play for me, say less, I'm en route. Gotta get in paper shit, the only type of shit I've been bout. And I'm praying faithfully, but you know I gotta let that sin out. And I gotta be cautious of the message that I'm trying to send out. Energy so positive, I'm positive they can't stop it. Gotta set my stop loss just to make sure that I take profit. Putting pack in the air, put a little bit of lemon all in my green tea. I'm living no limit, they know what it is right when they see me. They can't stop it. Gotta set my stop loss. You ain't hit my phone up, hold on, come to my house. Quarter ounce of cookies, got me one with my couch. Made my own lane, they can't come for my route. You catch me running up them bitches, hold on, running my mouth. And now they see me up doing everything I plan to be. No new niggas round here, this just my family. Tryna spread love, my life ain't about no vanity. Gotta cut ties if it ain't good for my sanity. Ain't gotta speak, they know what's really poppin'. I'm shiny suit man, making them bands, they know I'm Diddy boppin'. Slap 10 on the tank, I had to stop and get them top papers. These niggas gon' see me out and act just like they not haters. I had to get it how I'm living, now I'm living well. Cause if you can't make a decent living, then you living hell. They steady stuntin', I be trying to teach the youngest something. I got that shit to shake your windows, keep your bumper jumping. Later on I might just hit that venue, see what's on the menu. You tryna flip that shit that's on you, but this shit ain't in you. I'm about to book a trip to Aussie, tell a bitch get off me. Jet black and richer than your coffee, got me feeling saucy. Ain't talking power moves, you lost me, hold my time, be cautious. I'm sliding around my side like hockey, she gon' gag and gawk me. I'm dropping ashes on my slippers, kung fu in my kickers. Pulling in that cut, I'm sharp as clippers. Jacket with them zippers, strip her out her knickers. You ain't hit my phone up, hold on, come to my house. Quarter ounce of cookies, got me one with my couch. Made my own lane, they can't come for my route. You catch me running up them bitches, hold on, running my mouth. And now they see me up doing everything I plan to be. No new niggas round here, this just my family. Tryna spread love, my life ain't about no vanity. Gotta cut ties if it ain't good for my sanity.
I'm thankful for family, I'm thankful for health, I'm thankful for the knowledge that I have and the struggles that I got over to be the person that I am today.
That's who's standing here today. The world heavyweight champion. Only one. And you're looking, oh no, I can't stand it. Now I gotta talk, we all gotta be quiet. Nikita Koloff, we've only just begun. That's the end of it. Dusty Rhodes, don't ever make a mistake of sticking your nose in my business. If I'm down and out, I'll get up and take care of myself. So Dusty Rhodes, remember, when you walk out here, talking Ric Flair, don't think you can walk in that ring and give me a hand or try to help me out and ease the tension in our relationship. Philadelphia, I'm going to tear you up. Pensacola, Florida, when I get to town, we're going to treat all you women the way women ought to be treated. Because the NWA and some real men are going to take that Civic Center apart, and then we all going to be over a rodeo, driving the women wild. Miami Beach, get ready. We are on tour, and we're doing it better than anybody else alive. Now, Buddy Landell, there's only one.
There is only one. I understand how my man Slick Rick felt that day when I was about 10 years old. When he say, it's so hard to sit back here listening to whoever saying my name when I spent more money on spilt liquor than you made last year. It's a funny thing about people saying your name when they can't measure up to that name. But y'all know what it is. Before I get into my spiel, let me do my usual greeting. Let me say God bless to my Christian brothers and sisters. Let me say hotel to my Kemetic brothers and sisters. Let me say shalom to my Israelite brothers and sisters. Let me say Islam to my Moorish brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum to my brothers and sisters in the NOI. Peace to my brothers and sisters in the nation of gods and earth, them 5%ers. Let me say what's up to my Abo brothers and sisters. Let me say salute to my atheist brothers and sisters, the normal atheist brothers and sisters, not y'all nuts out there that just make up stuff. And finally, let me say Jumbo to the rest of my brothers and sisters throughout the African diaspora, be it here in the wilderness of the United States of America or beyond. Now, y'all know what it is. I say that greeting for one reason and one reason only. It's because if you're black, I'm with you, and I hope you with me. Our different ideologies should not keep us from uniting. We can't have unity without uniformity, and we can't disagree without being disrespectfully disagreeable. Shout out to my brother Nobody in the building. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Come on, brother, fix your audio. Fix your.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear me. I can hear you, and I can hear me.
I don't know why you can hear you.
I don't know either.
When I put myself on mute, well, I can't hear you. I don't hear no echo. Hold up. Let me cut it on in the background, see if you echo on.
Hey, my brother made a good point. Shout out to my roster brothers and sisters. I gotta add them to the paradigm list.
Okay, I do hear echo. Let me cut it off. All right, that's probably me, bro. Well, hey,
yeah, man, fix audio, man. You want a professional outfit.
How do it sound now?
I mean, you sound good.
I'm saying, do you still hear yourself echoing?
I do.
I don't have nothing on no more. Everything is off. What about now?
I don't know. Yeah, still hear that echo. I don't know what's up, bro. I ain't heard that time. Shout out to my sister Neo in the building. I ain't heard that time. Bro.
When I put myself on mute. Yeah, I did. No, when I put myself on mute, you can't hear the echo. Hold up.
I don't know, man. Well, while my brother get his audio together, y'all see the title. Tell me when I'm telling lies. So let's talk about it. So,
all right. What about now? Let me know.
Let's see. Testing. I don't hear nothing.
There we go. Well, if paradigm shift is on your screen, then you know what that means. Hey, man, shout out to everybody, man. Y'all know me. I'm nobody. I always trying to tell everybody about somebody who can save anybody. I'm on the show with my big bro, DMG, tonight, man. And like he said, we just trying to find out where he lying at. So I'm here for the moral support. Of course, I will be butting in and out. You know what I'm saying? Giving some feedback to my big bro. Big bro, let's jump into this show, man. I'm ready.
Yeah. Let's get into it, man. I just want to know. So historically, tell me when I'm telling lies, brother. Just stop me. And for those in the chat, y'all can tell me when I'm telling lies too, or at least when y'all think I'm telling lies, right? So let's talk about history. Let's talk about Christian history. Let's talk about this idea that Rome created Christianity. Now, whether you believe in Christianity or not is irrelevant to this conversation because we strictly talking about history. So this ain't about your belief. We're just talking about history. So I was talking to a brother today at the gig, truck driver, and he said that Rome created Christianity. And, you know, we had a long drawn out conversation about it. And I just came to the conclusion that the brother didn't really do a lot of historical reading. He did a lot of conspiracy theory, zeitgeist scholarship. And that's cool. You know what I mean? That stuff is crazy, interesting, and entertaining. But if you're gonna attempt to put some real information out, you gotta have some real history behind you. So let's just talk about the Roman Empire. We ain't gonna get into the Republic. So the Roman Empire started with a man named Octavian, who changed his name to Augustus Caesar once he became the first Roman emperor. The second Roman emperor, well, he was the first Roman emperor in the Julio-Claudian line. And if I'm saying that wrong, nobody, slap me upside my bald head. Now, this line had started with him, I believe, Tiberius, Claudius, Caligula, and it ended with Nero. Nero is notorious for accusing Christians of burning Rome. Now, what's important as it relates to Rome inventing Christianity is due to the accusation that they burned Rome, right? So the Flavians who came after Nero are credited in this zeitgeist scholarship. They credited with creating Christianity. I believe the notion is that they had Josephus come up with the Gospels and the New Testament, etc. Right now, after Nero died or committed suicide, it was, I believe, a 4-year period where it was a civil war. 4 men claimed to be emperor. Out of that rose the Flavians, and that's when they came to power. So it was a 4-year gap between the end of the Julio-Claudian line before the Flavian dynasty, which was a father and his 2 sons, before they took over. Again, they are credited with creating Christianity according to Zeitgeist scholarship. The problem is, remember, Nero accused Christians of burning Rome. So how could these people who come into power 4 years later have created something that already had existed during the previous dynasty? Just from a timeline standpoint, it don't add up. I could see if they say if the notion was that Caesar Augustus created Christianity, or one of his following emperors like Claudius, Tiberius, Caligula, etc. But that's not the case. They put it on the Flavians. But Nero said that the Christians burned Rome and thus began a persecution. So how can somebody create something that's already in existence prior?
Now, if I can butt in real quick, that's what's called.
Before you butt in, I just want you to tell me when I'm telling lies.
You being pseudo because everybody know Rome created Christianity, bro.
Okay, when did they create it?
They created Christianity when they stole the name from Serapis. You know, everybody know that Serapis followers was called Christians back then. So, you know, they just took their title. Everybody know that.
Wait a minute. So wouldn't that mean that Greeks created Christianity? Because ain't Serapis a Greek concept?
I mean, you know, tomato, you know.
So Greeks and Romans are the same.
According to this Zeitgeist theology.
Got you. I get it. So moving on. I like that though, because somebody would say that.
Right.
Let's move up a little bit.
Hold up, before you do, y'all see how he's going through. This is proper research. This is 101. First, let me say that 101 in doing research. Timeline. Go ahead, DMG.
Yeah, and I'm just this off the dome. Like I do history for fun, but let's move up a little bit. Let's get more current, right? Let's talk about Pan-Africanism. Because I see a lot of my Pan-African brothers and sisters, and I love Pan-Africanism, the Pan-African Institute. I'm subscribed. I take their courses, the whole demo, right? But what I find with my brothers in the current Pan-African movement is an anti-Christian sentiment, and I'm just curious as to why. Because when you look at Pan-Africanism in its early stages, you don't see an anti-Christian sentiment. So I would ask you, bro, when did this anti-Christian sentiment come about in the Pan-African movement, when we know all of the most prominent Pan-Africanists from its inception were Christians? So when did this come about where it became an anti-Christian movement? Because Marcus Garvey, who was probably the most famous Pan-African, was a Christian. But go ahead.
Due to my studies, man, a lot of people like to say that the hate for Christianity started coming in when the NOI started making more noise. You see what I'm saying? But like you said, with the Pan-African movement, with Marcus Garvey, that's before that. so
and the NOI is anti-African. So that's not a pro-African movement.
They
say that our nappy hair and wide noses and big lips are a curse, that our hair is supposed to be like the hair on our eyebrows.
Yep. That's what I just, bro, I just heard Farrakhan say that yesterday. Go ahead. Just said that.
So I'm just I just be wanting to know, like, when did these concepts come about, and do people think that they really continuing the legacy of Pan-Africanism by being anti-Christian? Because that would obviously be false. I just want, like, tell me when I'm telling lies, because if the most famous Pan-African, Marcus Garvey, was Christian, like my brother Rocky just put in there, who's an atheist, by the way, but who actually does real research and real study, so he can be honest about that.
Shout out to Rocky.
You got other people like what's my man name, Martin Delaney, and others who were staunch Christians but were Pan-Africanists, who big upped ancient Kemet, but were staunch Christians and Pan-Africanists. Where did this anti-Christian notion come from? See, what I think, and this is just my theory, I think these people have fallen for the okie doke. I think they've been hoodwinked. I think they've been bamboozled. I think that not only did Plymouth Rock land on them, they set up camp in their heads, and they start buying into white supremacist rhetoric. Because it's no other explanation for it. Because let's fast forward a little more to the Black consciousness movement, right? Let's talk about my man Steve Bantu Biko, right? Now, he is widely regarded as the
person who coined
the term Black consciousness, right? But where did he kick that movement off? If you had to take a guess,
the church.
Say that again now.
The church. You
sure about that?
Yep.
Nah, but would you consider Encyclopedia Britannica a credible source?
Yes, sir, I would.
Oh, okay. Let's see where it say it started. So it says that Biko and his comrades joined the University Christian Movement, the UCM, which was formed in 1967. They remained declassified with the scope of the UCM's goals. However, they convinced a non-white caucus. They convinced that a non-white caucus was necessary, and they founded the South African Students Organization, which launched in 1969. Now, here's where we get to where some of our Black conscious brothers and sisters is gonna have a little bit of an issue, because I just want to make sure we clear on this. So check this out. Let me scroll down a little bit. Dang, it keep going down too far. My bad, y'all. It says that the Black church was key in starting the anti-apartheid Black conscious movement, which would empower and mobilize much of the urban Black population. Stephen Bantu Biko was an anti-apartheid activist in South Africa in the 1960s and 70s.
Hold on, where he was? What?
South Africa.
Come on, let's go.
He was a student and is credited for starting the Black conscious movement. He has been called a martyr of the anti-apartheid movement. While living, his writings and activism attempted to empower Black people, and he was famous for his slogan, "Black is beautiful," which he described as meaning man, you are okay as you are. Begin to look upon yourself as a human being. He was a dedicated and staunch Christian.
Mm.
Now, I just want to ask you this, bro, because how did the Black conscious movement become anti-Christian when it was founded by a staunch Christian?
I kind of find it funny because they always say things like, oh, Christians stole from us, Christians stole from us. And then now we looked at what you just read and the facts that just have been presented. And now we see not only back then, but right now, they took from Christians and put it into their own world. But again, I'm gonna have to go with the NOI. And I like what I don't know if it's a brother or a sister in the chat, Lone Wolf and Lions Club. They said they think that scholars like Dr. Ben and the Kemetic movement began the anti-Christian ideology in Pan-Africanism. I wouldn't say that they started it, but I would say, yeah, kind of right around that time that they would play a role in it. But I still go with the NOI.
Now, just for all my brothers and sisters in the chat, the BCM, the Black Conscious Movement, represented a social movement for political consciousness. Its origins were deeply rooted. I'm gonna read this one more time. The Black Conscious Movement, or the BCM, represented a social conscious movement for political consciousness. Its origins were deeply rooted in Christianity. In 1966, the Anglican Church, under the incumbent Archbishop Robert Selby Taylor, convened a meeting which later led to the foundation of the University Christian Movement, aka the UCM, under the leadership of Stephen Bantu Biko. I'm just saying. So again, the Black conscious community owes its name to Christianity.
Drop a bomb for that for yourself.
You understand what I'm saying? So let's stop. Let's stop and tell me when I'm lying.
Come on now. I ain't heard a lie yet, bro.
So I don't know what we're talking about. Put some respect on Christianity name.
Come on.
Put some respect on the Black church name. You don't exist. You don't exist without the Black church.
At all. And if y'all never heard of that dude before, me over here on Paradigm Shift, we ain't like all them other platforms. Right now, while you listening, go type in the dude Stephen Knight. Go look this stuff up. Don't just be like, oh, I think DMG smarter than me, or oh, I think nobody's smarter than me, so I'm gonna just trust what they say. Go look it up. Half of these people in the conscious community have never even heard of Mr. Stephen, bro. They don't even know where the conscious community came from.
Hey, Lone Wolf. Yeah, they're gonna be mad because the truth hurt. They can't dispute these facts though. See, the truth hurt. It's time to stop. Like, believe whatever you want to believe. I don't care what niggas believe.
Yeah, stop lying.
Whatever you want to believe, but acknowledge this truth.
There we go.
And put some respect on my ancestors' name. See, we're gonna stop acting like our ancestors were some dummies when they was praising God and giving God the credit for them being able to liberate themselves. We gonna stop acting like this was just some random event, or like Abraham Lincoln was just so magnanimous that he bestowed freedom upon our ancestors. Like, what we talking about?
No, DMG, they just used the only tool that they had available at that time.
Yeah, no. We ain't playing that. We gonna tell the truth. Cause see, they could have easily said, I ain't rocking with this. But see, when they did that invisible institution and they was going out in the woods risking their life to have church on their own. See, like, people got to stop playing. People so in their feelings about Christianity that they just start making stuff up and believing stuff that other people made up about your ancestors.
Your ancestors.
Put some respect on their name. They wasn't fools. They was actually geniuses, because they took what was in the Bible. They didn't believe what the oppressor told them. They ain't believe that slave Bible. So when they got a hold of the real Bible, they was like, oh, okay, now this makes sense. See, like we finna stop playing games tonight. So tell me when I'm telling lies that our ancestors had a revelation of God and they used that to inspire themselves to get free. They inspired themselves to become businessmen and women 80 years out of slavery. You had Black Wall Street and other black cities all across this country. That and the only way they could be stopped is by evil, racist white people. We're gonna stop playing games. So you tell me when I'm telling lies. If Christianity is part and parcel to white supremacy, then tell me how come it was white Christians helping our ancestors gain their freedom in the Underground Railroad, risking their lives. Because if them white folks got caught helping them runaway slaves, their punishment was going to be worse than what the slaves got. Because, see, the slaves was considered property. They wanted them back. But them white folks was going to die. So tell me where I'm telling lies. If something is part and parcel to white supremacy, why was white folks fighting for the freedom of black folks? And if white folks was fighting for the freedom of black folks, which white folks was really Christians? The one who wanted to keep our ancestors in chains, or the ones that was fighting for their freedom?
And not according to no feel-good message. According to the biblical text, which one of them was Christians? According to how the Bible says a person should act.
Hey, I just what we talking about?
What we talking about?
Because it seemed like everybody have a brain freeze and forget about them white people who was actually abolitionists and was fighting for our people to be free. They forget about them. All you want to talk about is the people in the antebellum South that was oppressing our people. But what about the abolitionists who was saying this ain't what God wants?
That's a fairy tale.
That's made up?
That's made up.
John Brown and his sons didn't sacrifice their life for our ancestors? That's made up?
Yeah. And look at what Byron's saying in the chat. For people to sit up here and say, well, they only used the Bible because that was the only tool that they had available. No, Islam was around, voodoo was around, spiritualism was around. Like all this stuff was still around, man. Harriet Tubman, a person who couldn't even read, she believed in the God of the Bible, even though she couldn't read. And she said that when she ran away her first time, she believed that she was talking to Yahweh. She said that when she came to a tree, or came to a river, or came to a bush, or came to a house, she said she spoke to the God of the Bible, and she believed that God told her to go left, go right, go straight, duck down, hide, get in the mud, get in that water. This is a person who couldn't even read, and she put all her credibility into the Bible to the point to where they call her the Moses in this mud, bro. What are y'all talking about, bro?
Ain't nobody. Tell me when I'm telling lies, right? Tell me when I'm telling lies. If Christianity was part and parcel to white supremacy, them white people who was helping, I'm talking about in the South and in the North as well, in Canada and everywhere else that was helping our ancestors get free, wouldn't have been, and they wouldn't have been able to go against their own doctrine.
Can't do it.
If it was part and parcel to white supremacy. See, what we see, if Christianity and the Bible was part and parcel of white supremacy, they wouldn't have had to make a slave Bible. They would have just used the Bible.
And took out 90% of the Bible. And kept all the verses, kept the verses out of context to make it say what they wanted to say. Like slaves obey your masters. One of the most prevalent things out here in this community, when they talk about slavery, they go to, hey, slaves obey your master. Do y'all know that when y'all take that verse out of context, y'all agreeing with the same white supremacist ideology of that verse who you claim is the devil or you hate? That's not the context of that verse, but when y'all say it that way, y'all agree with them, not us. Come on, bro. Come on, bro.
Bro. You know I'm surgical with this bitch, Jay. How you want it?
How you want it? Listen, all I want to know is if the Bible and Christianity is part and parcel of white supremacy, why they need a slave Bible? Make it make sense to me.
Why?
All you wannabe scholars, explain that. Because if the Bible and Christianity is part and parcel of white supremacy, you don't need a slave Bible. You can just use the Bible.
Just use a straight up Bible, bro. So you mean to tell me these white people back then are smarter than y'all conscious people today in order to know that this Bible isn't talking about what they want to do, so they had to alter the Bible just to make it fit what they wanted to do? Y'all mean to tell me that them back then smarter than y'all today and y'all got Google? Come on, man. Wake up, bro.
Neo, sis. You bugging. First of all, using something to justify your foul actions and the something that you use actually being created for that purpose is two different things. I can use something you said to justify whatever I want to justify. That don't mean that you said it for that purpose. So these people using Christianity to justify their actions don't mean that Christianity was meant for that purpose.
Let me ask you this, DMG. Did slavery exist before the Bible was written?
Absolutely.
Head off the snake right there. What are you talking about, man? When the Bible came on the scene, the Bible didn't invent slavery. The Bible didn't come up with slavery. Been going on. Y'all quick to say, "Oh, believe in this because it's older than the Bible." Well, guess what? Slavery is too. Like, wake up, man! What are y'all talking about?
And this ain't even got nothing to do with defending religion, because this ain't got nothing to do with religion. This is just facts. It's just facts.
Facts.
So again, if the Bible is part and parcel to white supremacy, why do you need a slave Bible?
Can somebody answer that, please? Honestly,
hey, TikTok. Why you need a slave Bible?
If the Bible says what they were already doing, let's just put it on the most elementary level. If the Bible says what they were already doing, why would they have to alter it? Like, come on, man, this elementary, man.
And I see my man Sutek. He say, does the Bible justify it? I assume he's talking about slavery. So again, are you talking about the transatlantic slave trade?
Or you talking about servitude?
Like what we talking about? You and hey Sutek, you a smart dude. So what you talking about? Because I don't think the Bible had the transatlantic slave trade in mind. The Bible had a time machine, so it was what we talking about, man?
Come on, man.
What we talking about, bro?
Timeline, bro. Timeline, bro.
Man, we look. We gotta stop. Okay, so when you say does it justify slavery in general? What Paul say? There is no what? Nobody? Quote that for me.
There is neither male nor female. There is neither slave nor free. We are all one in the sight of Jesus Christ. Come on,
so tell me when I'm telling lies then. So
hallelujah, Jesus.
So what that mean?
Come on, man.
In context, nobody.
Bro, that means that all y'all are the same, man. Like, God see us all the same. Nobody over nobody. So how can somebody sit up here and say that I'm your master and you my slave? I'm talking about from the immoral standpoint of how they did our people in the transatlantic slave trade. We're not talking about, we ain't talking about servitude. We ain't talking about imprisonment. Like, come on, man. Y'all got to read stuff in context, man.
The answer is no. How could the Bible justify something that didn't exist when it was written?
Come on. Hold on. Ain't what they did to our ancestors called the peculiar what?
Institution.
What does peculiar mean?
The world hadn't seen nothing like that before.
Come on now.
So whether slavery, servitude, or anything else, nobody had never seen nothing like that. You had people that owned slaves looking at them like, what the hell is they doing?
If you know the timeline of slavery, if you look at servitude, guess what? Certain people who sold themselves to people back in those times, they were living better than people who were free living on the streets. Like, you don't know what you're talking about, bro.
Check this out. Hey, my sister Neo. It ain't no contradiction. It ain't even hard to understand. People can make their mouth say anything. So yeah, a white man can say God said XYZ, but what do the Bible say?
Hold up, DMG.
What the
Perfect
Bible
example. 1 + 1 = 2, right? But if a person don't know how to add, and somebody who they think is smarter than them come to them and say 1 + 1 = 3, guess what? They gonna believe it too. So no, DMG right. It's not about what they did. What does the text say in context?
Listen.
Me and DMG just broke this down a while ago. You can go take that verse, slave, obey your masters. You can go take that verse out of the timeline, the time and the context in which it was written, and apply that to the transatlantic slave trade. But without the context, it seems like the white man was right when he told the nigger, sit down somewhere, when he was totally wrong, according to the context. Like, come on, man. Come on, man. We gotta wake up.
I don't understand how we want to superimpose one thing over another. But see, we don't want to do that with nothing else. We don't do that with nothing else.
Jim, not to cut you off again. There's a verse in the Bible that say, if you are a slave, which means servant or slave, whatever. If you are a slave and your slave master is treating you unfairly and you run away, it's telling you you can run away. If somebody finds you, they're not to take you back to your slave master. Even your slave master ain't even supposed to take you back. Why is that? At what point during the transatlantic slave trade or any time of our captivity over here in America to where a slave ran away and was caught by the neighbor, at what point in time did they not take them back if they following the Bible?
Listen,
come on.
Listen. People gotta, that's just like my man Sutek say, remember y'all said this, and remember I never mentioned. We talking about the transatlantic slave trade. So whether you mentioned it or not, that's what we talking about.
We brought it up.
We're talking about the transatlantic slave trade in relation to the Bible. How is the Bible talking about the transatlantic slave trade? How the Bible talking about something that wasn't in existence when it was written?
Almost 2,000 years after.
So you an Israelite right now? Like what you gonna make the Bible be talking? Like I don't understand what we doing.
I don't get it.
I don't know why we talking about. If you want to talk about slavery in the Bible, we can talk about slavery in the Bible. We talking about the transatlantic slave trade, the peculiar institution. What do the Bible, outside of some racist, sick white people, what do the Bible have to do with it?
There we go.
Show me in the Bible where it justified the transatlantic slave trade.
For the people in the conscious community.
Don't show me where the Bible talk about slavery in antiquity and then try to superimpose that over the transatlantic slave trade. So then, you in the wrong conversation.
I was gonna say, let me catch you up real quick, bro. We're talking about the conscious community and how they try to use the Bible and say that it's, white supremacy and white supremacy ideology, or that it advocates for, slavery and all that. We're using the biblical text and showing you how back then what it meant compared to now, and then why the conscious community is wrong about them trying to use the Bible in that way. They are the ones who are agreeing with white supremacy when they break those scriptures down that way. They agreeing with white supremacy. They're not agreeing with black people. They're not agreeing with forget skin color. They're not agreeing with the Bible at all. For them to claim to be against white supremacy, how can you agree with white supremacy doctrine of the biblical text when the biblical text wasn't even written at the time when what we know is racism and white supremacy and all? It wasn't even in existence. Kicks up, man. Kicks up. Go ahead, DMG.
Yeah, bottom line is you can't superimpose one context over another context and try to make it make sense just because you wanted to. You can't. So again, let's talk about. But since we own the transatlantic slave trade and Christianity, let's talk about how our people love to mistake somebody co-opting a religion, using said religion to justify their actions, as opposed to us looking at what the religion says. See, we like to just say Christianity is racist and Christianity is a white supremacist religion, instead of just looking at the agenda of the people.
Well, that's where you go to your fear, DMG, because I know what you said probably went over their head. I mean, some people head, because you like to use big words. What he just said, and I want you to go on from this. What he just said was, the person who invented the hammer to knock in nails, how can you blame that person when somebody take a hammer to hit somebody in the head and commit murder? Go ahead, DMG.
All I'm saying is, we act like we don't know the difference between when a person do something and when a person try to use something to justify why they doing something. So why we don't know, when it comes to Christianity, why we don't know the difference between people using it to justify their actions versus what the actual doctrine says. Can somebody show me in the Bible where it would justify what our ancestors went through, as opposed to these people trying to make it fit what they wanted to do? I just need somebody to show me that. It's a difference between what somebody tries to justify and what the doctrine actually says. Show me in the doctrine of Christianity where it justifies it. I'm waiting.
Don, 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 don. What's up to the Slim Reaper, man? I can't see the other person that's on here. What up, young Dre?
What's going on, bro? What's going on? Shout out to the panel.
Peace to the super team.
I was just gonna say that, dude.
as a certain somebody dubbed y'all.
Shout out to Slim Reaper.
Shout out to the brother.
DMG, can I talk a bit for a second? Can I say something?
The floor is yours, my bro.
Let me just see if I can
turn up your volume a little bit.
Let's see. How about now?
Keep going.
Let's see. How we sounding?
You good? Go in.
So here's what I'm gonna say. So I'm holding a glass in my hand, right? And so let's say that this glass was caused, for example, right? Let's say the glass has a material cause, and the material cause is the material from which it's made of. Let's say that it likewise has an efficient cause, whatever the tools were that we used to make the glass. That's the efficient cause. You have a formal cause, like it's basically what's the thing? What form did it take? The tools made something in a certain particular form. And you got the final cause, which is the end goal, the thing that we use this for. This is just Aristotle's four causes. There's some philosophers in the chat, and so they'll understand this. So given this four causes, the final cause is actually the specific intended purpose. So this was meant to be a drinking device, which is why I'm drinking out of it. Let's say I take this glass, which has been used commonly as a drinking device for thousands of years, and I hurl it at someone's head across the street. Am I using this glass properly, would you say, DMG? If I'm hurling it, like if I'm using it as a weapon, but it's a drinking object. When it was created, it was intended to be a drinking object. Am I using the glass properly if I'm hurling it at someone's head?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so you're telling me that the four causes I just listed, and specifically the final cause, the purpose of it, that's uninterrupted by my misuse. Is that what you're saying?
Say that one more time.
So the final cause, the purpose of this, is uninterrupted by my misuse. So if they created this to be a drinking device, but I'm using it to throw it at people, that doesn't change that this is still a cup that's meant for drinking.
Correct.
Okay, so if Christianity, by analogy, was not created with such a purpose, this was not its original intent. This wasn't anything the founder said, had nothing to do with it. Not any parts, any tenets, was made up for such a fashion. Then how could a later misuse affect the final cause of Christianity, the purpose for which Christianity came?
That's all I want to know, bro. That's all I want to know.
Hey, look, you can use automobiles, right? It doesn't matter what you use. Like you can plug anything else in there, right? You say, hey, cars are, these are machines of oppression because people use them in drive-bys. You say, well, hang on, wait a second. But the vast majority of existing automobile, nobody's using cars for drive-bys. Say, well, yeah, but some people use cars for drive-bys. The cars, that's what it is. It's something that represents, our, collective oppression in the neighborhood, because people are shooting it. It's not how logic works. I'm sorry. So that's my spiel.
Yeah, and it seemed like
The Slim Reaper.
everybody, because I'm gonna get to Byron in just a second. Everybody act like we are so supremely intelligent, right? We scholars and we do all this research and we know this and we know that and all of this, but we can't look at the doctrine and say there's a difference between what the doctrine says and what these people did. Now our ancestors apparently were fools because, but they were able to see that it's the difference between what they saying and what they doing and what this book says. But they was the ones that was fools. Well, I just want to point that out. They were fools, but they were able to see that the enslavers was on some BS, and what they were saying didn't add up to what was in that book. But go ahead, Byron.
Oh man, I'm just saying peace to everybody, man. I'm sitting here listening. I got my baby girl here, so if you hear some cooing or some whining, I got my almost 3 months here. And next you listen to daddy hearing his foolishness. No, but I just I'm not as astute as the great Slim Reaper when it comes to logic. But it's a few things I gotta say, man. We love to play. Black folks love to play dummy when we want to play dummy, right? Like we talk about, I'll bring up a topic. We'll bring up slavery, Africa and slavery, right? The slave trade. Africans in the slave trade. Oh, but we got all the nuance to fine tooth that comb. Like I said, well, actually, what it was is this. This system was already existing, and Europeans came in, and it wasn't like Africans. So there was tribal war. All that's true. We know how to nuance all of that, right? Like, and that's cool. I agree with that. That's 100% true. But then when we say, well, the transatlantic slave trade, the peculiar institution, was not what the Bible speaks about when it talks about slavery or servitude. Oh, y'all just trying to make excuses. Y'all just trying to justify the contradictions of people, etc.
Come on, Bob.
Like, wait, hold on. So we can play smart over here, right? Like we can do all the nuances. We can do all the fine tooth combing on this end. But when we get to this end, which our ancestors are, as y'all stated, already did hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Now all of a sudden we gotta just say no, it just teach that. And what I was saying in the chat is that, our ancestors, both in America and those still on the continent, fought against slavery, right? And said it was wrong. It was not a moral, human, or Christian value. They fought against that, right? But
right.
And then other white folks, right? During that time said the same thing over and over and over. Even today, people always talk about, oh, well, the Roman Catholic Church, they did XYZ, and I'm not taking them off the hook. But if I'm not mistaken, I want to say it was Pope John Paul I, or maybe the second, or one of the other ones. They stated that not only was it atrocity, that they were wrong, that they preached the wrong type of gospel, that and similar statements from the Anglican Church and other churches as well too. What I'm saying is that if white folks today in the last 100, 200 years said that their ancestors were wrong, had the wrong doctrine, bastardized the text, admit that. Black folks been saying this. Globally, it's been acknowledged. Why are we still trying to say?
What else do you want?
Well, where's the contradiction at? Well, what you talking about? You siding with the people that enslaved your ancestors, because even the descendants of the people that enslaved your ancestors say, yeah, our ancestors was wrong.
Hey man, listen.
I watched.
I watched Many Rivers to Cross with Henry Louis Gates. The brother was sitting there interviewing, and anybody can watch this. You can watch it on YouTube, but it was a PBS publication. Henry Louis Gates Jr. This publication sitting there talking to the brothers in Africa. He's standing on the continent, and he's talking to them. He's like, "How many of your families got wealthy off of the sale of slaves? You know, your hands go up around a little surplus of you." And they talk about it openly. But you can go ahead, Byron.
No, I mean, it's just, you know, again, I don't understand why this specific narrative still exists or being pushed, because it literally, you are literally siding on the side of people.
Hey, Byron, give me 1 second, bro. Did somebody block Neo?
No, it looked like the messages started getting deleted.
Yeah, I didn't.
I personally, if I was gonna vote, I'd say Byron. I don't know, but
I don't even know how to do it. That's the crazy.
Go ahead, y'all. Let me straighten this out.
Yeah. Please get in.
Byron, can we pause it for just a second? Can we go basic? So I'm a little slow, so let's go a little basic, right?
Yeah.
Is it not basic to, like, I don't know. Let's say you send a text message to your wife, for example, right? Would it be safe to assume, if I stumbled upon your text message, that you meant something specific by what you sent?
Yeah.
Okay, and so let's say I wanted to understand your particular text message that you sent. Mm-hmm. So if rule number one is that you meant something by what you meant, it's like, should I not try to understand what you meant in interpreting the text message? Right?
You should.
Like, so then, what if I come along, right, and I say, what if I'm somebody and I come along and I don't care about what you meant with the text message? If I misuse your text message, or not misuse, because let's say I don't think there's any particular meaning to it, is that going to get me like any sort of like real understanding of what, like if you say, hey, take the fish out the freezer, and I say he meant he was going to like whack her with a stick later on that night, right? Like it seems to me that you tell me if I'm wrong, that I should be looking for what the author of a particular text intended when they wrote. Is that am I missing something?
I'll give you one better. This past Tuesday, my wife and I just celebrated our wedding anniversary, right?
Congratulations.
Send a message, as you know, we do. And I sent a message to him to say, hey, once, get out of work, we get the kids straight, it's about to go down, right? Mm-hmm. Send it to my wife. If anybody else stumbles upon it and doesn't know the context, doesn't know who I sent it to, and everything like that, and I'm just using the phrase, it's about to go down, you could think, like, what's about to go down? Like, is the house about to go down? Is the shooting about to go down? Like, is he about to fall down? Like, what is he talking about? But if you don't know, and even if you are, say, another woman, right, and you get that, and you stumble upon my text message, Is he talking to me? It's about to go down? No, that's into one particular person on a particular day. That's extremely special and important to us. That message means something, right? And so unless you do the homework to look at the context of the message, what it's intended for, what's it meant for, who was sending it and why, and who was the reception of it. I'm not saying that other people can't understand it. What I'm saying is that you need to know, okay, this is me. This is a husband sending something to his wife on their wedding anniversary in regards to something that marital couples do, right? So, and with all that, right, and going back to the whole slavery thing, again, Scripture literally says man stealing and servitude for the life of the person is illegal and against the law. Even in whatever form of slavery you want to put into the Old and New Testament, there is no dehumanization. There is no for the rest of your life and your ancestors' lives that you are forced into this. There is no denial of even the ability to get free. We ain't gonna talk about the Jubilee, right?
We can't even talk about that.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about the actual ability that maybe can I earn my freedom or anything like that, or getting released. None of that, right? So we just gonna skip over that and say, it just says these similar terms. It just says slavery. And Leandro, you know better than me. You can take it to the Hebrew and the Greek and the different meanings of what you can use by the English term slavery and what the context means. It'll knock that all out the water. But these people ain't about to do that.
Well, yes, see, so that's why I said.
Young Grand Byron, y'all already know y'all doing y'all thing, bro. We didn't have the man jump on the panel, man. We got BK apologists in the house, man. I want to let BK get a couple of words in before we go in.
You know what I'm saying? Make sure you answer the question on the screen too, Big Fredo.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, BK apologists, bro? What's good?
What's going on? What's going on? Peace. So I've shared this before, but since we're talking about this again, did the ancestors know the difference, right? How about we actually listen to the ancestors and see what they said,
How does it
right? That would be a good thing, right?
There we go.
So can can I share my screen?
Yes, sir. DMG, you in here? I believe it's already set up, DMG. Is screen share on already? Okay.
Can you share my screen, sir?
Oh, to answer the question, if someone want to know the text I sent to my wife, because I made it public and I made it for the world to see, that still doesn't mean you get to interpret it outside of what the intent was.
Yeah. The question really wasn't relevant to the point that was
Like real talk.
Are you sure?
No, I don't see anything. Wait, what do I see? Wait, hold up. Am I looking at the wrong thing? No, I don't see anything.
BK, you ain't that old, are you?
I was about to say I don't see it.
Oh, you want me to? Okay, wait.
How old is BK? I'm concerned.
You're a funny guy.
You know what?
Yes, yeah, you gotta share it for me, DMG.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't see anything to share.
Share.
Oh, my bad.
DMG,
I'm so used to being on this side. Wait. My bad.
There's no you in share, DMG.
Hey man, I'm from St. Louis.
All right, it's there. Yeah, share it.
Oh, y'all don't start. Not tonight.
All right, here we go.
We on the same thing.
This is
Hey, no. We can still fight.
Yeah, see, I know, and that's why I got to be the referee. Not tonight.
Listen.
We're doing the best.
Hush. This is from Lit Young, enslaved in Mississippi and Texas. He says she built a nice church with glass windows and a brass cupola for the blacks and a yellow man, light-skinned black man, preached to us.
Hey,
she had him preach. She had him preach how we was to obey our master and missy if we want to go to heaven. But when she wasn't there, he came out with straight preaching from the Bible. They knew the difference. What about yes?
You mean tell me they was able to tell when somebody was trying to twist it?
Yes, sir.
That's great. Okay, go ahead, man.
But they wasn't that smart because they couldn't read. BK. They couldn't read.
Yes.
Can I ask you a question real quick before you read this?
Yes, sir.
So I wouldn't necessarily categorize them as fools, would you?
I would not, sir.
Thank you.
Here's another person who wasn't a fool by the name of Claiborne Gatling, enslaved in Georgia. Before freedom, we always went to the white churches on Sunday with passes, but they never mentioned God. They always told us to be good niggas and mind our missus and masters.
Okay, hang on a second.
Sure.
Christianity is the belief, in this one God who sent his son.
Yes.
For the redemption. Okay, so you mean tell me they wasn't talking about that, and they was
not where he was going.
Quick follow. Also, can you show me the chapter and verse where it says to be good niggas and mind the misses and masters? I need to find that.
That's in Second Opinions chapter 4 verses.
It's over there. It's over there somewhere.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah.
It's over there.
All right, here we go. This is Sarah Douglas. She was enslaved in Alabama.
Come on, Miss Douglas.
We went to the white folks' church. So we sat in the back on the floor. They allowed us to join their church whenever one got ready to join or felt that the Lord had forgiven them of their sins. We told our determination, this is what we said. I feel that the Lord has forgiven me for my sins. I have prayed, and I feel that I am a better girl. I belong to Master so-and-so, and I am so old. The white preacher would then ask our Mr. Master that what they thought about it and if they could see any change. They would get up and say, I notice she don't steal, and I notice she don't lie as much, and I notice she works better. Then they let us join. We serve our mistress and master in slavery time and not God. They would get up and say, I notice she don't steal, and I notice she don't lie as much, and I notice she works better. Then they let us join. We served our mistress and master in slavery time and not God.
Wow.
Kind of bring a truth to your eye.
I'm surgical with this bitch, Jay. How you want it?
Okay.
What about Margaret Nicholson, who was enslaved in Florida?
What about her, BK? Let's go.
She said, we had church with the white preachers, and they told us to mind our master and missus and we would be saved. If not, they said we wouldn't. They never told us nothing about Jesus.
Okay, I have a quick doctrinal question, because I ain't really read the Bible like that, so I'm trying to figure this out. The Bible is somewhere, it says that if you don't obey your master and missus in the chattel slave system where you were kidnapped from home, that you wouldn't make it to heaven. It's somewhere in there. Can somebody help me figure out?
I already brought that up, Leon. I brought that up earlier, man.
It's somewhere in there. I can't remember where it is though.
Hey, Craig, real quick, y'all, just a second. Craig, let my brother, who are in the psychological shackles of his own making, comment all he wants to, as long as he's not disrespectful, because he said that we don't have sources, but this is from the very people who experience this. See, he could bring all the white scholars he want to bring. He can bring all of them. But we talking about the people who actually had these experiences. We getting their testimony. So let the brother comment all he want to. It's all good, because it ain't gonna change nothing.
So here we have Bert Luster, who was enslaved in Tennessee.
Come on, Bert.
He says there was a lot of talk about conjure, but I didn't believe in it, because them darkies could do everything to one another and have one another scared, but they couldn't conjure that overseer and stop him from beating them near to death.
What I told you. What I said in the chat earlier. All that
primary source, like the brother Nagiti in the chat saying, man, what BK Apologist is reading tonight is called primary sources. Like, I know now a lot of people try to bring up the word primary and secondary. Like, I know y'all should know that y'all got that from Brother Berean Channel, who is a Christian. And what BK Apologist is doing tonight, he's showing you a primary source. A primary source is a person that was there, that was right there in the mud, getting it in with it, man. So who voice is better? Is it the primary source, the person who there, or somebody you hearing right now in 2023 on YouTube?
Hold on, BK, before you go, quick question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can for the chat and you as well. Can you have a rightly Christian service of any kind and not speak about God or Christ? Like,
yeah, I was wondering the same thing.
No, I mean, you're getting together for that purpose, to worship God.
Well, I don't know if that's true, because if you go back to the beginning, right, to at the beginning of the Christian church, they never talked about God or Jesus back then, did they?
Yes, they did. In fact, one of the earliest creedal statements that we find in 1 Corinthians was crystallized 8 to 12 months after the crucifixion.
Okay, hang on. So the church been taught. So hang on, just so I'm understanding. Now, DMG, I'm a little slow. I don't, I get sometimes. I get a little flustered. I'm just trying to make.
Yeah.
So from the beginning, if I'm understanding BK properly,
yes,
the preaching of Christ has been central to the mission of the church.
Absolutely.
Okay, and so they talk about God and Christ is God incarnate. All that. That's this. They've been on this stuff. The
scriptures themselves says faith comes from hearing.
Okay,
that's where faith comes from.
Follow it with that, because I'm not a Paulinist or anything like that. But if I'm not mistaken, does he say something like we preach Christ crucified?
Yes.
I
remember too, Paul. One time he was talking about too, even people who was preaching just out of spite for him, and he said, he's okay with it as long as Christ is preached. Was that right?
So that would infer that they were talking about Jesus.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. And so it kind of sounds like, I don't know, and it makes me tripping. It sounds like preaching about God and Christ and a God who sent his son to die to atone for the death of sinners. That's been like from the beginning, and that
they
was
won.
Okay,
they won. So now
let me ask you, hold on real quick, BK.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Can you address this question that's on the screen real quick for me?
Let's see. If you brothers need Abrahamic doctrine to cultivate yourselves to betterment, I will never begrudge you of that. You cannot pass off words of various men as divine words of the Creator. Right. So all these enslaved ancestors, they were just fairy tales, right? All the people that I'm calling right now, they just, It's fictions they were believing in.
Can I make a comment on that real quickly before you go, BK?
Sure.
I got one after.
First, okay. This idea, because this is often this idea of just, you know, because I think they think this is a diss saying Abrahamic doctrines. If you look at the history of the church in Africa, because y'all know that's my thing.
Right.
You never hear that term Abrahamic doctrines, Abrahamic faith. In fact, they believe that it is a fulfillment of the faith that they are of the spiritual systems that they already subscribe to, of getting back to the Creator. If you look at a lot of their doctrines, right? And so they don't have this separation of Abraham is not one of a foundational pillar of spiritual faith and a kinsman, right? Like they don't have this separation of what we call, y'all want to learn that Abrahamic faith. That's not something germane to Africa. That actually comes in, I want to say around 19th, maybe 18th century, when they start to delineate the term Abrahamic religions in mostly Germanic Europe. But again, we don't see that doctrine or that phraseology anywhere in Africa or Asia for that matter. So I'm just kind of wondering why we continue using the phrase, if we call ourselves pro-black and pro-African, we're using phrases that don't pertain to our people, both here and on the continent, and those of our kinsmen in Asia. Like, they never use that phrase. So I'm just wondering, why are we continuing to use these terms that, for lack of a better word, black folk never use? That's interesting.
Right.
Okay, so
yes.
Just out of curiosity, so just and to the last brother's comment, not whose comment was up here about not being able to pass off the words of various men as words from the Creator. So I'm going to call you on a fallacy on that, because he says, but you cannot pass off the words of various men as the divine words of a Creator. And I'm going to call you on a fallacy on that one, because I'm going to ask you, your criteria is what? This is based on what? What's the criteria that you have for the way that a Creator would have to speak? So if a Creator decides to use any means, so let's just say, if I'm
don't get them started.
I'm the Creator, I pre-exist, I'm preeminent, I'm here before you were ever even thought of, right? Who are you to constrict me and tell me how I can communicate my message? Let's just in that perspective, let's say I'm the Creator. Let's say I did it. How could you tell me how I could speak? And so when you say it, you sort of seem to say that it can't be the words Creator because he spoke through men. Based on what? Did you get this from your Creator handbook? Like, creators don't do it this way? So maybe you could substantiate that, that sort of claim that you make, to where you're saying that, and therefore it's not the words of Creator because he spoke through various men. What if that's the way? What if God from the beginning has always partnered with mankind in order to get his message out? What if God are his representatives in the earth? What if mankind has made in God's image specifically to represent him in his rule and kingdom and dominion here on the earth? And so what if he uses men to get his message out to other men? So your retort to that would be what? Like, open the Creator's handbook and tell me how he would have to speak. Tell me where this comes from, because I don't accept the premise.
All right, Leah. We're gonna let BK Apologist get back to the points that he's making, but just within this hour and 12 minutes, look at the brothers that y'all have just heard who are contending for the faith, man. Come on, man. If y'all want to go academia, y'all want to go education, y'all want to go just regular people, everyday average man, Brent, you got all these brothers on the panel, man, and we all Christians. We all believe in Christ. We all come from a different walk of life. We all got different missions and purposes and all that, right? We all Christians, and guess what? We all black, man. So
hey, once BK get done, I want to address Neo's question. Whoever wanted can take it. But she been asking this for a while.
So, I'm going to be done right now. This is the last quote I'm going to share. Of course, many of us know who this is. This is Frederick Douglass, and this is what he says. I find, since reading over the foregoing narrative, that I have, in several instances, spoken in such a tone and manner, respecting religion, as may possibly lead those unacquainted with my religious views to suppose me an opponent of all religion. To remove the liability of such misapprehension, I deem it proper to append the following brief explanation. What I have said respecting and against religion, I mean strictly to apply to the slave-holding religion of this land, and with no possible reference to Christianity proper. For between the Christianity of this land and the Christianity of Christ, I recognize the widest possible difference. So wide that to receive the one as good, pure, and holy is of necessity to reject the other as bad, corrupt, and wicked. To be the friend of the one is of necessity to be the enemy of the other. I love the pure, peaceable, and impartial Christianity of Christ. I therefore hate the corrupt, slave holding, women whipping, cradle plundering, partial, and hypocritical Christianity of this land. Indeed, I see no reason but the most deceitful one for calling the religion of this land Christianity. And I
Dang.
Grand opening, grand.
Is there no one else?
Bro. Okay, hold up. Bro.
Is there
Come on,
no
bro.
one
Be
else?
cool.
I just wanted. What more can I? What? Go ahead, man.
His words were the soundtrack to that music you just played.
Like I don't understand, bro. Like, listen,
I don't get it.
Again, if Christianity is part and parcel to white supremacy,
Come on.
why did they need a slave Bible? Leandre, you the logic.
Hold on.
Guy.
Follow Leandre go.
You the
BK
logic guy.
apologist. Hold up. BK apologist just dropped the mic so much so as to what he said is irrefutable that he out of here.
No doubt. Leandre. So yes. I want you to make that make sense for me, and then look at the screen and answer that question for me. So now,
to the chat, please, y'all don't try to fallacy and logic arguments with this man. Please don't do it.
Come on,
no, Byron. Byron, I want them to do it. I want them to do it. I want them to do it. Listen. I want them to do it. This is the whole point of the brother hitting the link. So Leandre, if Christianity was part and parcel to what we consider white supremacy, to the subjugation of our people, couldn't they have just used the Bible proper instead of creating a slave Bible? Wouldn't it make sense for them to just use the Bible?
Yeah, it would make perfect sense. If it's going to accomplish all the specific purposes, then what would you change it for? And so the only reason to add or subtract something, it seems to be because of there's some lack of sufficiency or lack of efficiency, for the way that it's presently composed. And so if you happen to take things away, it's because certain things are going to interrupt, whatever that end goal is. So you say, hey, we can't get to the moon with all of this weight on us, so we have to cast some stuff off. Because in order to get where we're going, we have too many things weighing us down. Otherwise, what's the point of changing it? The old folks used to say something, they wasn't too dumb. They said, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So if this was accomplishing the purposes that they had so intended, then why couldn't you leave the parts in there about, the year of Jubilee, where you'd be released from manumission? Or like, why do those things have to be taken out? Why was there only specific things that were left in there, ripped from their complete context? And so if you're going to have to take something out of context, I'm not, it doesn't really say that, that you're truly doing justice to what it is that you're presenting. So I know what the definition of no true Scotsman fallacy is. It's actually a variation of the death by 1,000 cuts fallacy, death by 1,000 qualifications fallacy. That's not what we're saying here. It is a major tenet of Christianity that's even in scholarship, that there's supposed to be a life change that happens when a person is a true believer in the faith. It certainly is not a free for all. Like if I said that, that someone is not a Los Angeles Laker, and then I mentioned the roster, that wouldn't be the case. If I said they don't meet the other qualifications, the person's amputee, all these other reasons why they couldn't possibly be a Los Angeles Laker at present state, that's not a no true Scotsman fallacy. Informal fallacies are sensitive to the subject matter at hand. Christianity is a particular religion where Jesus Christ said himself that you'd be known by your fruits. If you're not going to go tell me that when my religion says, hey, the people who are going to be in our little club here, they're going to look and act and dress and do things like this. And then if I say, hey, well, they don't fit the criteria, well, that's not a no true Scotsman fallacy. The no true Scotsman fallacy, is well, no true Scotsman, would drink before noon or whatever it is. That is that kind of thing. It's completely arbitrary standards that are thrown out there in order to try to save that person from criticism, or to save whatever it is from criticism. No, so that's a complete and utter misuse of the no true Scotsman fallacy.